make it through this re-election campaign. And my husband, Terrence West, we got married last December, actually. So we're coming up on a year of marriage. And within that year, really started getting into, I mean, honestly, you know, it has just been a year of doing this. For my personal background, as growing up, I wanted to be an artist. And so my mom and my dad definitely helped support me with classes and, you know, summer camps and trips to the DIA and all of that. And so I think that has refined a lot of the ways that I look at art and definitely informed the way that I appreciate it. But I never thought about it in terms of collecting before. I definitely thought like you had to already have the $100,000 to do anything that matters. And so it's just been over the last year that, you know, we've been changing our perspective and thinking a little differently.
Yeah. So I would say that I'm a creative and I've always wanted to collect. I didn't have a real understanding or eye for it, but I was having a meeting. Pick up prescription. I had a meeting, and so I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this meeting while I get some food." Turns out, after this meeting, when I came back from the restroom, the Breakfast Club was setting up. So I met Henry, and he's like, "Hey, do you buy or sell antiques?" I said, "No, I was just having a meeting." He's like, "Well, this thing is about to start." So I said, "All right, well, I'm gonna grab my stuff and sit next to you." And that day, I bought my first piece by Damien Deontay, and it just kind of went from there. I was just at Henry's house. I was just like a kid on the floor looking at stuff. Out going through books, and so just having Henry there to kind of mentor my mind through it, because my wife has an incredible eye. She's in me. I've just been like taking the books and all the wisdom that I'm getting. I just met Shirley Woodson Reid through James McKissick, and so I'm just learning a lot from everyone. James has helped me. Matt has helped me a lot. So I'm just learning a lot from everyone. So. I think that in this pandemic, when you have to be at home, I'm a little bit of an introvert. I look at the art and it's like we're having a conversation. Like I don't have to use words, but we're actually interfacing. And I'm thinking about the artists who I may know personally, and thinking to myself, man, what were they thinking? And wow, man, this is incredible. And just different things like that really inspires me when I look at art. Much more beginner collection.
Well, you know, I would say, looking from this vantage point, that for you all to have just been together for a little over a year, that you all have been quite ambitious. It looks really wonderful looking from this vantage point.
And that's just a small part of the collection.
And more to come, more to be sold, right, Henry? So I guess the question is, and I'll start with.
I'll send him over there.
You, Henry, since you're on. I'll start with you since you're on.
Okay.
What are some avenues that you think young collectors, emerging or beginning collectors, I shouldn't say young, because it's not, this is an ageless pursuit, but what?
I'll talk to anybody who collects.
Right.
But I do concentrate on young folks because their future is before them. Mine is past. And as a result of that, if we don't grow it with the young folks and we don't grow it with the millennials, then I hate to tell you this, our stuff ain't gonna be worth nothing. So that's important to bring young people in. And the Whitakers, their son David, is really interested in collecting. I talk to him all the time, and he talks about art. He sends me pictures of stuff, and I'm so happy about that because he has a wonderful home. I've not been in it since he first got it, but he's interested in art. Well, of course, growing up in that household, you're going to be interested in art or dusting. And as a result of that, one of the two. But as a result of that, he's a collector. So that's the thing that when I met Terrence, and I can't remember, at Breakfast Club, and he bought something the first day. And then of course he took it home, really got into it. And then I think I gave him a wedding present. Before or after you got married?
You gave us something before, but then you said this is not the gift. I got something else for you. And then you gave us something after we got married. I
gave you 2 gifts?
Yeah.
You did.
Oh, okay, I need one back. That was a mistake. I ain't joking. But anyway, so that's why I asked them to come into the panel discussion to talk about that, because we get distracted. We get distracted because we weren't welcome to museums. Oh, I forgot this. Your talk. I forgot.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Henry. So, and I guess for you, Ms. Woodson, what is it? And both of you, I know the answers to these questions, I guess, but for everyone else out there, for those who are in pursuit of new artists and want to be turned on to new artists, definitely the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club is a great way to be introduced to new artists, and certainly the National Conference of the Arts with your gallery and with your connection to all the artists that you have. But what are some ways that you like to bring someone new who's a new collector into the fold to get them excited about collecting?
Well, usually people come with some ideas, images and ideas that they already have. And so you sort of start with that and visit galleries and read books and, take advantage of a Monday at the Fine Arts Breakfast Club and see what that array will expose you to. But the big thing, I guess, with collecting, and already, if you say you're a collector or you're interested in, you're part of the audience already. So there's not a lot of persuading. It's mainly exposure.
Yes.
And right, so that you look around and you really, it's like learning to read, I guess, in a sense. You you first have to know the alphabet. You can't read if you don't have all 26 letters in there, okay? So you really have to afford yourself an opportunity. I'm gonna have to get some water. Gonna have to afford yourself hold on 1 minute, let me get some water.
All right.
But no, I was just saying that there is, you can just sort of go shopping. I like that, I like this, I like this. But when you're talking about collecting for the future and building wealth, then you have to understand what value is. Sometimes you build your own value, but you also have to know what the value scale is, the existing value scale. And so and with African-American art, it's our history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, if you're not awarded your history, you don't know where the art goes. You don't know what this means, or you don't know what that means. And sometimes you can miss it because, as I say, you haven't learned the whole alphabet. So I think that, trust what you say, but you do have to extend yourself beyond just the picture. You got to find out about, as you say, the artist, meet the artist if you can. If you can't, everybody's got Google and all of those other
do your research
operations now. Do the research.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have, it doesn't have to be now, but I do have 3 resources that I think should be in the home of every collector. And that kind of gives you a plan. I sort of getting off one moment on it. I love the strategy this year for the voting, where they said plan to vote. Make a plan. And I think the same thing is, I thought that was so exciting to just say, well, no, I can't get there today. I can't get there today. I don't know. I'm not sure, but plan, look at, see what the issues are. What's at stake. So in the same way, afford yourself information so that you'll know if a lot of the young people have taken, they love Basquiat. Well, where did Basquiat, where did those images come from?
Mm-hmm.
He had to have a reference.
Mm-hmm.
He was not the creator of those images, you know, the portrait, all of, you know, even the what do you call it? You know, writing on all the buildings, all of that, you know, those artists that came into being. Yeah, so I'm just saying it's important, but I do have 3 references that I'd like to share later.
Okay.
In the, in the program that I think everyone should have.
Oh yes, please, yes, that'd be excellent. You know, and as a student, as a growing student myself, I'll be looking forward to those references. I know that when my wife and I were embarking on our collecting journey, we never did achieve the things that we said we were going to do. We were going to buy 8 original pieces a year, but we got to the point where I think we at least we were buying 1 per year, 1 original piece per year. So that was a big deal for us. And one of the things I like to say is that once you declare yourself an art collector and you have purchased a single piece of art, then you are a collector. It's not only, it's the intention that you have to continue to collect art. So I try to prime the well of people who are who show an inkling of interest in art to at least purchase their first piece. And so I guess that leads me to the Whitakers, which I'll ask you all, you know, certainly buying art as an investment is not, you can't just buy it as an investment. You have to love it first. You have to love what you're buying. You're not, some of these things you don't necessarily buy because you think you're going to be able to cash in on them. While I'm certain that there are pieces that you buy specifically for investment purposes, but you have to love collecting art first, correct?
Yes. One of the things that we did was we bought pieces, and we not only bought what we liked and loved, but we sought the opinions of other collectors, art enthusiasts like Henry Harper, Shirley Woodson, and also purchasing books. You know, it's very important to get books related to art and to various artists, because you really don't know what you like. And then once you gravitate towards that area of the art that you like, you know, you may buy pieces in that area, and then you grow. A collector never stops growing because the artists never stop growing. And there's different types of artists that are coming out all the time. So as your exposure to those artists is broadened, then you're going to be buying different pieces. Now, as you stated, you really should start out with buying what you like, because there is no guarantee, just like stock in anything. So if you get your money back, that'd be great. If you make money on it, that's wonderful. But you always have to live with something that you like. You would not want to have something in your home that you just does not like and is negative, or, you know, and then some people, they like that dark side of art, you know, and it depends on the individuals. You know, some people like colorful, bright. Some people just have a hodgepodge, like we have a hodgepodge of some of everything. And we have novice artists all the way up to, you know, the artists that are international and all the way around. So I would say, if you're going to start, it's like any collection. You know, there's some people that collect little bitty things, you know, plates and stuff like that, because they don't have a lot of space. So you can always get different sizes of things. All art doesn't have to be huge and large. You know, we know and met a collector who had little miniature pieces that are like 2x2s, and they're all around the door frame. We thought we were on steroids until we got to his house. And we found out we're not so bad after all, you know. So it's important for the young people to get books. Priscilla Pfeiffer is coming out with a new book. Erin Henderson just came out with a new book. There's a lot of the artists that are saying, hey, we don't have to not be here to do a book about our collection and ourselves. And I think that's a good way to start. Get something from someone who's here. You know, you have Shirley Woodson who's here and a number of the other artists. I would talk to them. I mean, they're approachable. Don't be afraid to say, oh, well, they're artists and look where they're selling their work. They're in the DIA or whatever museum. And if they're not in a museum, you know, go up and approach the artist and understand how they feel about something. I think the Stallworths mentioned the first guy that they bought at the Breakfast Club. That's one of my favorite artists. And if you talk to him, you have a deeper meaning of the art, of what it is that it means to them. And all of a sudden that transfers to you.
Now let me ask you something. Do you, in terms of, you know, and I love that, but I guess my question is, when you are buying art, and you all have amassed, both of you and the Stallworth West have amassed some really wonderful pieces. And I guess the question is, what do you do about having your art appraised? Because there's one thing to collect it, but then there's another thing to make certain that you have some assigned value to those pieces so that you know what the value is and can have it insured so that if something should happen to it.
Well, I would add that not every piece of art that you own, you're going to insure.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure that could be
because sometimes the insurance will cost more than what that piece of art is.
Got you. Got you.
But, you know, for the more important pieces, it is important that you do get an appraisal. And I do think that Henry Harper now has his license to do art appraisals. Am I correct, Henry? All right. So anyway, it's important to get someone who knows about art to do appraisals. And it's also important to make sure that your homeowner's insurance is correct also.
Okay.
A lot of homeowners policies don't really care. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A lot of homeowners policies won't really cover fine arts to the level. So sometimes you need to get a special policy or a special writer on a policy to cover art. It probably needs to be a special seminar on how you go about insuring the art. That's probably a separate topic that you need experts in other than us.
I can imagine that's a whole seminar in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. Especially when you start masking a lot of international artists or really, really valuable art. You know, it's important to get it appraised, as you said, but it's also finding the insurer who's willing and able to insure that its value, which is not every insurance company. I'll just tell you that.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And Terrence and Misha, you guys take on that?
Yeah, so I've been getting a lot of books and stuff, and a friend and artist, Chaz Miller, gave me this book about African art masterworks. And so I was reading the book, and then I went to the DIA and started looking at their collection and stuff. And so I came across a staff, and I was like, "Oh, this staff looks pretty cool." So then I was thinking about Henry, and I was like, "Oh, patina." That's what Henry says. And so I grabbed this stick. I just like this, so I'm walking around with it, right? And I walk down. I go over to see Henry. He's like, "Oh, it's a nice stick. What are you doing walking around with it?" I was like, "This is my walking stick, Henry. It's something like conquer territory. I use this thing." So he's like, "This staff is worth," what do you say? It's like $2,000-$3,000. I was like, "Really?" You should probably go put that back by the fireplace or something like that. I was like, "It's for $150. So he's like, yeah. So I was like, well, okay, with that being said, we should probably get more of our work appraised. So I was like, so I'm not walking around with sticks, just what Henry considers, let's say, is museum quality. So we have decided to get our works appraised, some of the pieces that we think should be appraised, get them appraised. And we found out that because of the pandemic, a lot of folks have retired who do this work and aren't necessarily in the business. And so we have a date that's into next year before we can actually get on someone's schedule to get this stuff done. So
and because I help them with their collection, is not proper for me to appraise their collection. As a certified appraiser, and because I help them with that collection, advise them with that collection, it's not protocol for me to appraise that collection. Shirley had a point.
Oh, I was going to say, in the appraisal of African American art, you have to have an appraiser who knows about African American art. You can't just look up an appraiser and say they're going to tell you the value because they don't know the value.
Mm-hmm. That's 100% correct.
Because of the, the nature of the beast, you really have to have someone who is knowledgeable. I've had several people that I know of who've had to have they inherited collections, and they went to a general appraiser, and they they appraised the catlet at $25, or this was just something ridiculous. $50.
Right.
And it was worth much more than
Bearden,
obviously.
Well, it wasn't only that, they just didn't know who the people were. They
didn't know who they were.
They had no background.
Right.
Because this is art. That's what I'm saying. You have to read, you have to understand what you do have.
Yeah.
And you have to understand what is needed. The collector has to understand what's needed to even have something appraised. And you have to, because what's done is they go to resources. Well, if you don't have a resource,
right.
What are you going to do? I mean, you look in your regular, you get a book by Helen Gardner on world art, and believe it or not, in that book, which is there are at least 50 editions out now, but one of the smaller units in that in her book is the art of Africa. That's about a page and a half. And Botticelli's got 16 pages.
Yeah.
So I'm saying they're going to go to their resources, and they don't have those resources.
Right.
And we don't either. We don't either, because we don't want to read about it. We go into it. I got this true. Because I like it, and it's good. But learn that you can learn to like after reading. Then you really like it.
That can.
And you can. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, you can't say that loud enough, because we know people. I mean, this seminar or webinar is about the evaluation of art, and we know people whose art, they've had tremendous collections, but they didn't tell their children what they had. So when they passed on, and the children inherited the art, and because they didn't know how to value the art, they sold the art for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. They had tremendous wealth if they had understood what they had. So sometimes, it's important to value, but it's also important to talk to people who you never know how long you have here on earth. And the people that you love need to understand and appreciate what you've done. If you've amassed all this art and you pass on at 20, at 35, you know, whatever, you don't know how long you got. And if they don't understand what you've done, they will sell what you've amassed for pennies. We know it. I mean, the stories are, I mean, I'm sure Henry can tell you a whole lot more than I.
And Shirley.
But the truth of the matter is, you know, it's important to not only amass it, but to share what you have done, particularly with your family. People who are following you need to understand what you're doing.
And it's important. Misha, I know Misha and Terrence are working on some children, and as a result of that, it's important to sit them down and get them engaged and get them involved. The Whitakers did that with their children. We used to sit Sunday and put stuff at the table and bring things to the table to talk it over with the kids so they can get engaged and they understand what their inheritance are. And that's what we're talking about, is generational wealth. And as a result of that, get them involved. And I'm sure you'll do that, Misha and Terrence, because you're quite involved. Anybody who got that much stuff just in their little living room, I mean, ooh-wee.
That's a corner.
So the journey continues, and you got your millennials, babies. So you got a path to create, just as the Whitakers have done, and it's been a journey for them. They've really enjoyed it. We've gone over different parts of the country, but they've really enjoyed their journey, just like you and Misha and you and Terrence are enjoying your journey. And so as a result of that, when the kids come along, generational wealth, and if you ain't got any kids, put it that way, nieces and nephews, I got nieces and nephews and they're not interested. I try to build collections for one of my nephews for free. He know I have a collection. I try to, because it's distracted. Brought him to the house. I said, tell me what you like. He said, well, how much I got to pay? I said, it's free. Tell me what you.
So Henry, going back to that point though, you know, of creating generational wealth and being a collector, just like Linda mentioned, you don't necessarily know that buying art is like playing in the stock markets. You don't necessarily know which pieces are going to increase in value all the time. I mean, there are certain blue chip artists that are
already there.
That are already there that you know are going to increase in value. But then
it's a secret formula, but I'll share it later when it's my turn.
Yep. Well, this is your turn still, and then we'll go back around everybody else since you were already on this subject. But I think it's important from my vantage point, from my novice vantage point, to just underscore the importance again of collecting what you like, but also mixing in there the pieces that you know are going to increase in value over time.
And you'll never know that until you hear it, read it. I got to speak for what I do, or have an advisor. The advisor's job is to research the market, to study the market, to understand the market, and to advise their clients on how to put together, if they're interested in putting together a collection. People buy art because it matches the sofa. So they go to Home Goods, and people say that to me all the time. I want something to match the sofa. Well, the problem is the artist never created anything to match your sofa because they didn't know you had a blue sofa. So as a result of that, buying art to match the sofa, if you're buying art to collect, if you're buying art for generational wealth, it has nothing to do with that blue sofa, because you'll have that blue sofa this year, and next year it'll be 5 years from now, 8 years from now, it'll be green. So now you messed up because you got that blue sofa, blue art over the green sofa. So my point is advising. So I have a habit of telling people, and I know I'm going to get in trouble with this from Shirley, but I never tell people to buy what they like if they're using an advisor. Because when they find out what they should have been buying, the bus is gone. And when I say the bus is gone, what I mean is they can't afford it anymore. And that happens all the time. Several major collectors, one specifically here in Detroit, and the major collectors in Detroit, was advised to buy Picasso's years ago. I didn't like Picasso. His work was ugly, ugly, ugly. And now you hear the story, they're in the millions of dollars. The bus leaves. That secret little thing I wanted to share with only a couple of people who are listening is buying emerging artists. Buying emerging artists, if they're focused on their career, if they're focused on art, if they're focused to understand that there is a career or a potential career, and they're really serious about their art, serious because they enter shows and exhibitions and they get their name out there, they understand marketing, they understand branding. And most creative people are not business people. That's why I fight with them all the time to sign their work, because art lives longer than us. The Mona Lisa is still around. Other art. So it's so important to sign it. I've run into, especially dealing with these emerging artists, they always want to put initials in the corner. They always want to sign it on the back, but you can't go in the museum and turn a painting around and look at the back of it. Or they want people to know what my style is. Really? And I say that because I'm out there all the time looking at art, as well as furniture and art and antiques and rugs, and that's another whole story. But in looking at art, I find beautiful art all the time, unsigned for $5, or you can't read the signature. The other day, I'm treasure hunting in my own house, and I don't know why I went to look at a piece that I bought for $4.98, and it was a Major Francis D. Elderly. I couldn't read the signature. And I don't know why, I just went down over to the living room and picked this thing up and got a glass, and I kept looking and I kept looking. I go, oh my God, you gotta be joking. Because the signature was indistinguishable. So be careful when you, I know I'm getting in trouble with Shirley. Be careful when you buy art that's not signed. From the business angle, I won't buy anything if it's not signed. Because from a business angle, generational wealth, if you can't figure out who grandma bought or granddaddy bought or auntie bought or mama bought, it's not going in the trash, but it'll also be at the thrift store. And that's important from the, and I try to share that with artists all the time. I got to fight with them. Oh my God, they're creative. You got to fight. I had to pull out a gun and do what's necessary to get them to do that. But they have to understand the business part of it, especially the business part. Okay, so buying art that you like, that's cute. But if you go get the emerging ones or the middle market ones or the middle career ones or the historical career ones, those are the ones that we often can't afford. They grow in value because the market determines the value based on Sam Gilliam, for an example. He did something innovative back in I think it was the 70s. Surely I would know better than I do. I think it's the 70s when he wrapped the Philadelphia Museum with canvases. Well, that was innovative. And I used to send people to museum curators all the time because I knew all these artists, hoping that maybe they trip somebody's interest. And the whole thing is to get in museums. That's people's dreams. And a museum curator told me, they say, Henry, you send me pretty people who have pretty art all the time. Pretty art, beautiful art. But we don't collect pretty art. So I asked the lady, oh, what do you collect? And she says, we collect the innovators, people who think out of the box. I was like, oh my God.
So, no, that's a great story, Henry. That's wonderful.
Shirley, I'm sorry. It's your show.
Yeah.
Hasn't been said explicitly. Like folks, we talked about reading, we talked about doing your research, but one of the things that's nice about this is how well you can just integrate it into your everyday life. And like the one of the critical parts of it is just being on the scene. So, when we first started thinking about collecting, a couple of years ago, I was the director of the Ellen Care Gallery. And so Terrence was like, how do you know who all these people are already? And I'm like, oh, because I'm just at gallery shows. Like I go to the galleries, I see the folks. You tend to, especially when you're talking about emerging and local artists, you kind of see some familiar faces. It starts to track with you where their careers are going, what kinds of shows they've been in, how they're evolving in their careers. You just start to kind of have this internal sense of things. And even, you know, if you go out of town and you always make sure you visit an art museum, or you always make sure you visit a gallery show, or you always make sure that you just build that into what you're doing, you start to develop your eye for things. You start to see kind of like what is innovative versus what's kind of regular, or you know, just kind of the same old thing. You start to get a sense of what, you know, museums like, you know what I mean? Like you can look at a piece from a new artist that is different, but it reminds you of something you've seen in a museum. And that is a worthwhile kind of nugget, kind of key to give you some direction. But honestly, again, if you like art, and if you like wine and cheese events and things like that, it's really easy to just kind of build into something that you're doing on a regular basis, even if you're not purchasing anything yet. You're just on the scene, building relationships, checking things out. And then when you become comfortable, you're ready to dive in, take the plunge, great. But you've already kind of, it's become kind of second nature, the way that you're looking at things and the way it's in your life. And another thing I'd say is like, we don't have kids yet, but when we do, I plan on talking to them about money. And I know that, you know, in our community, sometimes that's a little funny, right? Like we, you know, we don't really like to say the exact dollars and cents of stuff. We don't want people counting our pockets, like, you know, and all of that is very real. But within your own family and with your own kids, talking about those dollars and cents also helps to build up, you know, the knowledge that they have.
They do it in Grosse Pointe.
It's not our community here.
Yeah, I talk about Grosse Pointe right now.
Okay. So, Misha, I'm sorry. Misha, so you were director where?
Ellen K. Rod Gallery.
What's the name of that gallery? K. Rod?
Ellen K.
Oh, Hannah.
In the auction there,
House.
K. Rod artist there, like Betty McGraw.
Okay.
So when y'all got together, Terrence is the one who actually started you collecting then?
Yeah, so Terrence, through meeting you and being introduced to the Breakfast Club, changed my perspective about the investment component of art. I had the appreciation, and right, I do have an eye because I've been immersed in this world. When I led the gallery, that was my first time leading a gallery. So, and it is a part of Hannon Center. So there's a whole other kind of view there in terms of, you know, it's a nonprofit. The gallery is here to promote older adult artists. It's how we raise money, right? Like there's a particular way that you lead that gallery if it's your first time leading a gallery. Anyway, I digress. My point is, I had a certain perspective and a certain appreciation, and Terrence, vis-a-vis you, Mr. Harper, you know, kind of shifted that perspective in terms of investment value.
Yeah,
That's kind of sad. Your life will never be the same.
it will never be the same. I remember about 5 years ago working for a PR firm, and they had this nice large painting. I mean, it's 9x4. And I really loved it. They were changing offices and they weren't keeping it. So I was like, hey, you know, I'd like to take this off your hands. And at the time, I lived in a very small apartment. So I found a way to get this thing to my apartment. It took up. What was so great about it was the story behind it for me, because it felt real Detroit. It has like a Detroit landscape. And this particular piece was created during the event of Kwame Kilpatrick's inauguration when he first became mayor in 2002. And so the story behind that, and this artist being president, I've been able to speak with the artist. He lives in Canton. And all the work that he's done, I was just like, I love storytelling is what I do for a living. So I love storytelling, and that stuck with me. And so to hear Henry has 1,001 stories. So it all like you just get into that 2,000. You just get into that
2 stories.
Like, okay, this also helps my storytelling. It also like helps my creativity, but it's guided in a way by professionals and experts that I can be comfortable and also feel comfortable with building wealth with my family and saying like, hey, we're not jumping out here making ridiculous decisions. We actually are advised well, and we're headed in a direction that makes a lot of sense for us.
Sounds great. So we got the right crew on this phone, on this call here. I should say on this Zoom call, not this phone call. I guess one of the things that, I always like to know is where people outside of the organizations that we have represented here get their art leads from. I know a lot of people are on Artsy nowadays, on Saatchi. Is anybody are you all finding that you all have, and I guess this probably goes for both the Whitakers as well as you, Misha, and Terrence. Do you find that you are purchasing more pieces via the internet than you would have, or is that even something that you're interested in doing since you don't get to touch and feel them up front?
Well, let me let Shirley speak because she's been having some insight that she wanted to share.
Okay.
I'm sure
Okay.
Share because she is also, besides an artist, a major collector.
Yes.
So go ahead, Shirley.
I don't want to be remiss.
Thank you. No, really, I just wanted to, you mentioned something before, and I don't think it was, you went into it quite enough in terms of the record keeping appraisals.
Mm-hmm.
We went into appraisals, and in order for the young people in your home, to not resort to having yard sales of your work, which happens, just put it up. They don't really attach it, something that my parents did, or, and they're not really attached. But one of the things is you got to have a record. And that's very difficult because that means you got to sit down and think about it. But you have to maintain either a binder. I have about 6 binders, but anyway, you got to have a binder of some sort to put the record of your purchases or the record of the art,
Mm-hmm.
where you list the person's name. So you have to do part of the work yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because that way they will understand that it was important enough to put down. It's not just a little drawing over here on the side, but that everything is important. When I know my husband and I, when we first started collecting, the first thing he purchased was a stamp,
Mm-hmm.
a hand stamp.
Oh, wow.
And inside all of the books, it said the collection of Shirley Woodson and Edsel Reid. And that went inside in the binder or wherever of each book that we had. That was the first thing. And so the books were recorded as having value,
Mm-hmm.
as being a part. It wasn't just a book. And then I started keeping things on note cards in a little file box. But then that ran out quickly. And so then I used a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
As well. So in the same way we keep up with all the other things, keep records of the work separated in a spot where your young people can see it. If you purchase something new, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were ill or whatever, but the big thing is you have to keep the record for yourself. You forget what you buy.
Mm-hmm.
You forget,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I forgot all about this. Or you look in your records and you'll say, where is this? I haven't seen it in days.
Years.
You may not have unwrapped it yet. It may be stacked with some art you purchased. You went out and got some good things, but you haven't unwrapped it yet. So it's really up to you to keep a good record, where you can add to that. I think that happens a lot. That's nothing against the sales where you can find things, that happens, but one man's, asked off is another man's treasure. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you have to be looking. And the other thing I'd like to say, because my role, Henry keeps referring to that I'm going to get mad. I'm not getting mad. You just got to finish it up. just keep giving the information. Just you can buy what you like, but understand the range. That's what I'm saying. If you've got a source, if you've got an outline of some kind, because this is our art is also, as I said, our history, it's our culture. It is, and I think those who embark as a collector understand that it's not just making each room pretty, or, you know, and also when you're looking at museums and what they do collect, you see what kind of African-American art they collect. They don't have any. The first Tanner that I saw, Henry O. Tanner, was in the was in the Toledo Museum of Art. And my husband and I, we drove to Toledo to see this Tanner. So we got there, and we went to the registrar, the front desk, wherever, and we said we came to see the Tanner. Well, they said, okay, oh, I think I know where it is. Okay, take this stairway. So went this long stairway, went down all the way down. It was a weekend, so the offices were closed. So down this corridor, and way at the end of this corridor, there were no lights on, was this Henry O. Tanner, you know, past the lavatories, past all this is in the Toledo Museum. In the back. And here's this fabulous Tanner. Was not a part of it, was in the museum, but it was not in a favorite spot. It was not in a good spot, we'll say it that way. But we wrote that down and we knew where that Tanner was. And so I doubt seriously if it's still in the basement, but you know, on a public wall, so to speak. But
is the Toledo Museum still in possession of that Henry O. Tanner?
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
I'm sure if they were, you know, if they came into their, you know, into their brains, I'm sure they will. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure because now, of course, there's a scramble. Everybody's counting everything. You're trying to get it all back in place. But I'm just saying the collector too has responsibility for maintaining records. I mean, it's an important part of it because, you know, 1 year goes to 5 years, 10 years. And also as an artist, I guess I'm the only artist in the group. As an artist in our group here, right here, as a practicing artist, you continue to work. I mean, the term styles came up. Styles may change. Any given artist through the years has different ideas that impact their work. And so I always like to say the term is not old work, the term is early work because it's still the same. And that's the way you maintain value of a work in your own conversation and in your own attitude towards what you have. Okay.
And I guess going back to that, you know, that's the flip side, what you're talking about too, in terms of making certain you keep a record. That's the flip side of the same coin that you were referencing, Henry, in terms of bringing more millennials into the fold of collecting art. There also needs to be some estate planning on behalf of the collectors, just like Ms. Woodson and the Whitakers have alluded to. And so, as we know, there are lots of people that have left this earth recently, relatively young people who don't even have estate plans, but old enough to have had them and had enough assets to have them. So I think that it's great to emphasize the need to have these items appraised and documented and recorded so that they don't lose their value by just being sidelined into somebody's garage sale or yard sale and sold off for $25 when it's really a $25,000, $30,000, $100,000 piece of artwork.
Drake, I would like to add something that I think is very, very important. Am I talking too low?
You can bring it up a little bit.
All right. One of the things I'd like to point out is that in collecting, I've heard a number of people say, oh, that's just a Detroit artist. Oh, that's just a, artist that's over here that's irrelevant. Our culture is here in Detroit. Yes. And although we have national artists and international artists in our collection, we do celebrate a large number of our Detroit artists like Shirley Woodson, Al Hinton, there's just Ashabar Macharia. There is a number, and that's Rosa.
Ron Scarborough.
But there are a number of artists who has cataloged the events of Detroit for years.
That can be said. I mean, a lot of times you don't value what you have at home. I mean, that's sort of a cliche, but it's so true. I mean, a lot of the great artists that should be international are right here down the street, and we don't do enough to promote Detroit. Detroit ought to be the Mecca for Black people all over the world.
And Salvador.
When you get to Detroit, you should be able to relax.
Right.
in a city dominated by Black people. It ought to be, we don't celebrate our own history enough. So, we need to be valuing. I don't know, I can start preaching a sermon like Henry.
So you're saying we shouldn't just be collecting for purposes of creating wealth, but we should also be collecting to preserve the culture.
That's right. I mean, the wealth is the culture.
There.
That's right. They're one and the same.
Truth of the matter is, to the degree you have an artist, just like, we celebrate writers because we read their books, and it's very, just like Shirley was saying, is a vocabulary to art. And somebody who can deliver a master stroke, they can capture the essence of an event, and they're living right here. We need to start right here. We need to develop the artists that are here in. Okay, my wife is kicking me. So I'll stop.
No, I didn't want.
I think you got the point.
I didn't want him to stop, but I wanted everyone to realize is that just because artists are here in Detroit, they should not be undervalued. You look at Charles McGee and
Ollie McGee.
I mean, even the DIA director said Detroit is the Mecca of art, of African American art.
And the director of the DIA is collecting Detroit artists like mad. He is.
And the Charles Wright
That ought to tell you something.
And the Charles Wright Museum is, collecting these new artists. And I'm sure Henry had referred some over there, and probably Shirley. But I just want us to, when we go to other states and we run into collectors groups, like in Chicago, the Diaspora Forum, they are collecting their artists exclusively. Now, we are a little bit more diverse here in Detroit, where we collect a number of artists from all over, because, I know that Shirley has a major collection of artists all over. Henry probably does, and probably Misha and Terrence, because I'm looking at their background. But I think that we should not sell our own short.
That's right.
And I think that we should visit the Charles Wright Museum and get memberships in those museums, you talk about generational wealth. Well, generational knowledge is important too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ooh. Teach, preach. That's them
got a
Whitakers.
question from Terry Faison, and she says, when purchasing art, what is the best way to secure the value of the art, i.e. certificates and insurance? So I just thought I would throw that out because that's the first question that popped up there.
Unfortunately, a lot of artists are not business people, and as a result of that, securing a certificate of authenticity may be a difficult thing. Perhaps if you're buying from a live artist, ask them for one. Typically, they don't exist. Generally, the insurance company, when they appraise art, they provide information about the artist because they ask you questions. They give you a questionnaire, you answer the questions, and then they associate that with the painting. I tell people all the time, and I found this out in the bowels of the DIA and the bowels of the Seminal Museum recently, having the privilege of selling things to these museums, that behind those paintings are the histories. They keep that stuff in a file, but they also tape all that stuff to the back of work. And it's so interesting to see the back of I recently saw the back of I don't know, $200 million Blue Period Picasso. And behind it were these old business cards and different galleries where it had been collected. And all of that is so important because that's the part of the provenance of the background of the work. So I always tell people, when you take your paintings to a framer, particularly if they're secondary market, meaning not new works from the artist, but used works or secondhand works or inherited works, if there's stuff behind it and you look behind it and see watermark dust covers and things and go, oh, I don't want that in my house. Ugh. Take it to some framer who knows that they're supposed to cut those tags and labels off and that kind of stuff. Because that's all the provenance, that's all the history. That's where the painting collections they've been in, where they've shown exhibitions, the title of the work. All of that is oftentimes behind the work. So that gives a work of art a sense of being, particularly for collectors. And then another thing, if you can't get certificates of authenticity, it's nice to have in the artist's hands on the back of it, particularly if it's a watercolor or work on paper, that the title, you ask artists to do this because they want to get that money, they want to get paid. So
well, in addition, if you're buying it from a person who is alive,
right,
take a photograph with the artist when you're buying it and keep the photograph
with the piece.
You know, we have Charles McGee signing the work in a photo. I mean, there is no better proof. I'm a lawyer. And so if I were going to court, that would be exhibit A on authentication. You can't have better authentication. You got the artist signing the work. I mean, that's gold. So the truth of the matter is you take a photograph with the artist if you can. You just as has been said by a number of people, you know, you're trying to buy the work in a place where the proof of the work. I mean, right now we live in an age where things are copied regularly. And authentication going forward with 3D printing and all that is authenticating the work, and the originality of the work may become a real premium in the future with all of that. So it's important to get the proper documentation, and then it's good, as Shirley said, to keep a record, but sometimes detached records, like Henry is saying, detached records can get lost and separated from the item. So a lot of records you want to keep with the item, whether it's, I mean, we've got a house full of antiques as well as art. So we have to attach the proof of what it is you've got with the item itself so that there is no separation.
But we do have notebooks with the plastic sleeves that I will make a copy And sometimes it's good to have more than one notebook, because just in case something happens in your home, it's good to have a child or a close relative that also has, a copy of what's supposed to be there in your house.
And I guess,
so you never know.
I guess you're saying also digitize it too. That probably wouldn't be a bad.
That's a great thing too.
We've got gray hair, and digitalization, we haven't caught up quite with that yet.
Yeah,
but the truth of the matter is record keeping.
Right.
And record keeping, because a fire can happen, you got the records, they burn up. So having them stored in a secure location,
awesome.
Safety deposit box, in the cloud, however you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm sure there are multiple ways that you can do it, but you do want to have whatever value you've got placed in the item in the house, and outside the house as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go back to the sermon of local artists, just for a quick second, because I think sometimes when you're listening to all these messages about how to look at, how to think about, it can feel overwhelming. You can feel like you have this whole list of things you got to check on, but there is a place in which it coalesces and comes together. And so like, I want to just shout out a specific piece in our background right now, which is up on the mantle, this red one, called Jitman. It's by Tashif Turner or Shifi McFly. And so, like, of the things that were listed, right? Like, he's local, but also Jitten is local. That's our, right? Like the jitterbug as it evolved. That's one of the reasons that we love it so much, because it's our experience. It's especially as hip hop kids, right? Like that's Detroit for us. And then it's colorful, which I really like, and it's a cutout, which is unique, right? There's information that's involved in this. So as you move around, as you're looking at things, you start to see stuff kind of come together, in one piece or in another piece. And I think what you like starts to evolve, so like digital illustrations are very cool. I do like them. I'm not interested in having them as much as I once was when I was younger. Like, I'm just like, oh, that's cool for my phone screensaver, but I don't actually need to order.
That is a beautiful piece.
That's a beautiful
transfixed. I've been transfixed on the Shifi McFly. I didn't know it was him.
Where's the crown at?
But that is outstanding.
Terrence, where's the crown that goes on top of it?
It's there. It's not up there, but it's
Can you show it to us? Seriously.
We should be able to see it on the Zoom call, and our molding's a little lower, so we.
And Misha and Terrence, do either of you all know how to jit?
Terrence do a little something,
I know how to jit. I know how to bisco. I'm out here.
That was more of a hip roller back in my day.
Oh, nice crown.
That's outstanding.
Wow.
I was
that's lovely.
I was going to say, we're working with a PR firm, and I had to go. We were one of the clients is a developer of the platform, and so I was charged with going to take some pictures of an artist and the new murals that they had put up, and I was blown away by this Detroit artist. I can't say it enough. I went over to take a picture of the mural that he had done, and I got to know him a bit more. And this guy, man, he was just blowing me away with his abilities. And so one of the pieces is right behind me. I don't know. I want to show it. This one here.
Yeah, we want to see it.
This one by Charles Chaz Miller. Oh, you can't
that's good.
Beautiful.
I noticed
so much. This is really my favorite artist. He's a very cool guy as well.
Yeah.
One gives me when Henry Stallworth.
Yes.
Chaz is one of Detroit's original muralists.
Right.
Oh my goodness. And he's like, he can do it all. So it's really
say his name again.
Chaz Miller.
Charles Miller.
Charles Chaz Miller.
CHAZZ.
Right.
I really enjoyed that piece a lot. And he's also the one who gives me a lot of literature, like Henry would give me. Charles gave me this book, and I've just been going through it and learning a lot. And because of that, we've been able to, like, of course, we collect other stuff too. I just went and get these. So
They're having fun.
I see.
it's my excitement for it all.
Hey, your house is turning into our house.
First.
And Dave and Linda, I've been wanting to get them to your house only because their enthusiasm is so wonderful, because they really know what they're doing in terms of putting money in the bank.
Oh, I thought it was because you wanted to see our new collection on the ceiling.
I ain't heard about that one yet. But it's also because they're young people, and it's so important, because people come over their house and wonder, what in the hell are you doing with their $500 tennis shoes on? And they begin to see things in another manner. And that's so important. That is so, I can't say it enough. It's so important. We've been distracted for too long buying clothes, shoes, cars, stuff that's not worth anything.
Okay, from a person who still loves clothes, I do want to add that wait, most of us ladies, we love our clothes and our jewelry, but those things are art too in their own way. But right now we're talking about the visual artists. And I would like to add that, you know, for those people who are watching us, you don't have to have a house like the Whitakers or Shirley Woodson Reid or Misha. You know, it only takes a couple of good pieces to start and call yourself a collection. You don't have to have 10 to 20 to 30 to 50 to 100 pieces. I mean, and we have met people who's had 7,000 pieces of art. Of course, you know, they didn't have it all on their walls. You know, some was traveling, some was doing other things, but that's not what makes you a collector. What makes you a collector is your love and your appreciation, and the fact that you're willing to support and invest in the artists. You know, the younger ones and all the other ones, you know.
I didn't know we were collectors. First, Henry was like, "Oh, these." I don't know. When I first met Henry, he would say, "Oh yeah."
Don't lie on me.
What? I was like, I said to Misha, "Are we collectors?" And then I get like another piece. I was like, "Oh, Misha, I think we're collectors."
Every time he's not sure.
I said, "I think we're serious collectors now."
I think you qualify.
Drake.
Yes.
Yes. Misha and Terrence, I wanted to say I was so pleased to see that you held up your piece of traditional African art. I think that every collection, every home that has a collection, we have to, again, it's about our culture. And none of what we are doing here would have taken place in any fashion if it had not been for our culture, our African culture. Wherever those, out of those 54 countries are, from our ancestry, every home should always have that as a as a source. Boy, my voice again. As a source of our culture. And from that, the antelope masks, all of the, I know I touched on the mask concept with Basquiat. All of that is due to the African presence in the Western world, as we are. Mm-hmm. We're the African presence in the Western world. Of course, we built that world. That's right. All of our creativity is used, sold, made money not only on our backs, but on our culture. Mm-hmm. All the music that's out, they take David Ruffin, mm-hmm. and they sell pop with it, liquor, whatever. Right on the television, they're humming that tune. Everybody does our dances. Everybody makes the money. Everybody, in fact, it is American culture. African Americans make American culture. They make American culture. And those are some things that we do not have to, that we should feel and know. We should not question ourselves on that. That is what makes, that's what gives value. We give the value. We spend the money. It is our money that goes to build the bridges and all of that. And you know where we are economically. So if we're going to look at this thing and we look at our collections and we look at our heritage, know that what you're doing is the right thing. But you continually need information. Do not question ourselves. Art is political. Art has always been political. We call it art on this side of the ocean, but within the traditional cultures, like the stool, the Akan stool, that meant the center. That was the head. If you have an opportunity, get one of the Ghanaian stools. And that should be, if you don't already have one, that should be in every home. Just as a symbol of the center of the culture. And so these are items, these are things that, as I say, through reading, through understanding, you know, that keeps your mind on it. That's what, I mean, we have so many distractions. We have to keep our mind on it. So I'm really pleased to see your African art work that you've made a part of your collection. And that stabilizes the collection. Picasso would be nowhere. He would be nowhere. None of them. The Impressionists, the Expressionists, Cezanne, they were looking during their time, they wanted to come off of that surface. That's why they started piling up paint on the surface. They wanted to activate it. They wanted to make it look like it was in motion. We already had that. We had the dance. The dance was included in the mask. That was a part of the mask. The costume, what we call costume, that's also the mask. So that's what I'm saying. We have to understand what we're looking at. It's all there, but you have to know how to put the pieces together.
I'll let you know right now, I'm real fired up just to hear you say that right now. That come from you. You don't even understand.
Yes, I would like to make one more comment. In introducing myself early, I'm also the president of an organization called the National Conference of Artists, Michigan. Our whole purpose is to emanate the beauty and the wonderful aspects of our culture through the visual arts. That's our theme and that's our goal. We have the art that we have there at our gallery. We have a series, we show work internationally because we know that we are international. The artists in Detroit here are a part of we have 4 portfolios, and we have a catalog. And in that catalog, we have included African-American artists from Detroit, as well as from all over the country. So you can buy a portfolio that has David Driscoll in it, is a part of that portfolio. Let's see.
So this is we can purchase this portfolio from you?
Mm-hmm. We have 5 limited editions. We have them with Allie McGee.
Oh yeah, okay.
We have whatever number of, some have 15 works in them. Mm-hmm. We have the premier one that was our first one. We had 23 works. Robert Colescott, all of these people are right in there with artists like Dwight Smith, Our other guy, who's our Breakfast Club, James Dozier, is in the portfolio. So we always blended, so to speak. Elizabeth Youngblood, as I said, David Driscoll, Samuela Lewis, and I'm going to show one of the books that she's, her seminal book on African-American art history. So I'm saying everything is here in Detroit. People come from all over the country to purchase from Detroit. And so, and we have included in all of our portfolios, we have a beautiful one on photography. Our portfolios are in the Schomburg collection. We're in the African-American Library at Northwestern University in Evanston. We're in a museum in California. We are in our portfolio are in many collections, but the collections are all over the country. And so Detroit as a Mecca for African-American art, as I said, you could get anything you want right here in Detroit. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's what the National Conference of Artists has had for, what's this, our 20, we've had, we're actually 40s, going into our 47th year. But when we first opened our space, our gallery, before we put up, we had no exhibitions. We had an empty space in the David Whitney building. And the first thing we sold there, we ordered books because we wanted people to come in and get their references together. And, you know, then we had our exhibitions. We started our exhibition program. So please contact us. And we have, as I said, we sell books now on every subject.
Are those books available? Are those books available on your website?
They are not on our website, but they will be.
And then I guess the other question is,
yes.
Are you all open today? And what days of the week? What are your scheduled hours?
Okay, by appointment. By appointment, I will be there Monday from 1 to 5, Thursday and this coming Thursday and Friday. Okay. You can make an appointment and I'll meet you there.
And you want to give everyone the address?
18019, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. 18100 Myers Road. We're in the Northwest Activities Building.
And it looks like we have just about 4 more minutes. So what I'm just gonna ask.
Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
My birthday is November 1st, and it is and my anniversary, but it is also the first day of the Torch of Wisdom auction.
That's right.
All right, so take it from there.
You got that down.
I'm going to show you. Okay. Can you see this? Okay, this is the seminal book on African-American art written by James Porter. It's Howard University Press. Howard University Press. This one we have in the gallery. Art African-American by Samuela Lewis. This is a history which gives you the artists, their whole bio, information on them, pictures, and everything. This is what everybody should have. And this one, which I hope some of you have, is Detroit Collects. Many have this, but this was the current, the latest show at the DIA.
Do you have copies available? Because they were sold out, Shirley.
They're sold out. No, I'm just saying if you're lucky enough to have one.
I thought maybe you got a batch.
Yeah, you have to go.
Drake, is it free to register for the Torch of Wisdom auction, or do you have to pay? Can you tell us about that?
You know something? Yes, thank you. And I think that Onika may have placed some of the information in the chat, but it is free to register. I do think you need to place your credit card information in the registration. So she's pulling it up now. Here it is here. Thank you. Thank you. And that will run for a week. It will begin on November 1st. And I believe it will run for 7 days. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah, it will run for 7 days.
Till November the 7th.
Okay, so November the 7th. And it's going to be really great. We were at the Torch just a few days ago. There are some wonderful pieces that are going to be included in the auction. And it's just exciting to be able to make this move from the in-person into the online, to the virtual, because even though we lose the ability to be in the midst of each other, I think we're going to be able to get a lot more eyeballs on these pieces than we would otherwise. So please, the link that is in the chat, and if it's not in the chat, should be in the chat soon, please log in, register, and please share it with your social media contacts, as well as some of your other art enthusiasts who might be interested in participating. But certainly we want to make sure we have a very successful auction, and the pricing is starting off at what I believe are reasonable prices. Some of the pieces are huge, and they're starting off at like $300 for like a big wall piece. You know, so you can't argue against the pricing, the starting pricing. What they end up at, we don't know. But certainly we look forward to having everybody who's on this call signing up. And with that, it looks like we had a few questions, but I think we're running out of time. And I think we answered all the questions. It looks like one new message. What does that say? Yeah, so all I was gonna do is just ask everybody else while we get ready to wrap this up, just go around and have everyone just name an artist or two that is on your radar. They can be local or national, or maybe one of each. One local artist and one national artist that's on your radar that you want everyone to know about. And I'll start with you, Whitakers.
We'd like to let everyone know about Joshua Rayner and Priscilla Pfeiffer.
Excellent, excellent. Ms. Woodson.
I'd like you to know about Barbara Chase Rabu and Valerie Fair.
I've had the opportunity to meet Miss Rabu before. She was a very fascinating lady. Henry?
I got so many, but I'm gonna.
Two, you got two.
Two.
You're gonna ring the cowbell? Okay, yeah, I'm only gonna name one, actually. And his name is Jonathan Harris. And he's having a pop-up show today at the Irwin Gallery over on East Grand Boulevard. It's been going on for a week, and he's done extremely well. But if you get an opportunity to go to the Irwin Gallery at 2351 West Grand Boulevard, it'd be nice to stick your head in the door and to meet these young artists. And there's about 5 Breakfast Club artists there, and they had a pop-up, and they just sold so much stuff. And David Whitaker Jr., he was over there too. Okay.
And Misha and Terrence?
Well, we kind of were shouting out people as we went. But I will say on the list of artists in the auction, we do have Aaron Whitaker in our collection. We like Aaron Whitaker a lot.
Can't see boy blue.
You and Aaron share a similar beard style.
Aaron's my guy. That's my guy right there.
We love Judy Bowman. We have Isaiah Ford. There's a lot of great folks on that list. And
we did get a John Harris. We did go and pick up his self-portrait.
yeah.
What I wanted to do is just say really quickly, the iDetroit piece I let Henry look at, it has 100 Detroiters in it. It just came out. The storytelling book, it's a piece of art. Misha and I are featured in it among other artists that you surely know. And they're at the Charles A. Track Museum.
Yeah, you can order it online.
We both have one. I'm keeping mine shrink wrapped, but we have hers open. And you download the app, and it'll tell you a story. You put the app over our face or whatever, and then we'll speak to you and tell you a story. And there are 100 Detroiters in it, and they're amazing folk. So I just wanted to shout this book out. It really it's a proud piece. I mean, Detroiters are happy with this for sure.
And made by a professional photographer named Marcus Lyon.
And you guys got in that book before you knew each other, correct?
Harry's such a romantic. He be adding layers to our story. No.
Yeah, you should hear the stories that Dave and Linda got to tell.
And you know what? And before we get off this call, and I think this would be a great idea, somebody asked, could we type the names of the artists that in the chat? Because I know folks probably don't know how to spell some of the names. So if you all don't mind, and this is for everybody who mentioned somebody, it only takes 2 seconds. I know you all know how to do that.
In the chat. Go to chat.
But with that being said, I guess we have reached the, I won't say the bewitching hour, but.
Someone wants to, Drake, this is Onika, someone wants to know the name of the book, again, that Mr. West just mentioned.
I Detroit is the Human Atlas. You can follow them on Instagram, the Human Atlas, and the book is called I Detroit. I period Detroit. And if you pull it up, it's been in the news. It just launched last week.
Period.
Can you show it again?
It in the chat, but it's called I Detroit, and it's the Human Atlas project. So if you Google it, it should come right up.
And bid and bid and bid and bid and bid and bid. Register to bid.
Yes.
Sell, sell, sell.
And Onika?
Put John Harris's name in there.
Are you there?
I am.
I was gonna say, maybe we can send these names out to all the folks who've registered.
We will, and actually, we will also send out the link to this recording from today's session. So everyone can reference the link, the recording for full information.
Okay.
Type it in.
Just type it in.
All right. Excellent. I'll let you type yours in, Henry, and then I guess we will.
Oh, okay. Where's the end at?
Go from there.
I can help me. Where's the end? I can't see an end. Oh, okay. Done.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And enjoy.
And bid.
Rest of your day. Yes. Make certain that you register for the November 1st.
Can you schedule time to see the works in person? Isn't that true?
Yes, October 30th and 31st.
Yes, I can address that. This is Onika. So you are able, all attend, excuse me, anyone who would like to see the artwork live can go to the Torch of Wisdom Plaza in Southfield on Friday, October the 30th between 4 and 8 p.m. And then again on Saturday, October the 31st between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. You do, however, need to register for an appointment. So be sure to go to the Torch of Wisdom Foundation's website to get all of that information.
And bring your gas mask.
And bring your mask. Everyone must wear masks when they come to the plaza.
So I just want to say that it's an honor to be on this panel. It's a true honor. I did get a chance to meet Ms. Shirley Woodson Reid, and very much so a pleasure. Linda and David Whitaker, we would love to meet you as well. Drake, for sure, I appreciate you. Henry has been, I mean, we gotta have some food tomorrow, but I really appreciate being on this call and then being a part of this. It's a complete honor. My face is just lit up. Just you know, you all saying stuff about any of our collection. It's a true honor.
Real happy for you, very happy. And I want you to share that with other people in your age group, your friends and things. Let them understand what they are looking at, what they're experiencing, and how you feel when you experience what you experience.
Yeah, he's still gonna buy Jordans though. But this is both hands.
I don't want them hanging Jordans on their walls. They stink.
Well, it has been a pleasure meeting and speaking with all of you, and you all have a wealth of information to provide. And I know that this is gonna be a continuing conversation, even offline. And I love you guys' collection, and the Whitakers. I want to make it by both of your homes, you know, post-COVID. Or I got a mask. I'll come by with a mask, and and Ms. Woodson, I'll make it by the NCA. I would like to pick up those portfolios as well. So I'm really excited. I got a lot out of this myself.
You have my
Always do.
number.
Pardon me?
You have the gallery number.
Yes.
Yes,
I do.
okay.
And then one more thing, I just got to say it because I can't help myself. Today, the Emoja Gallery out in Southfield, Emoja Gallery, is having an exhibition from 1 to 6, and it's a knockout exhibition. And Drake, I hate to tell you, but your mama is in the show, Priscilla Pfeiffer, favorite son, as well as Marcel Stewart and Joyce Jeffries and oh yeah, the famous Paul Goodnight. So on today, you know, have a lunch and then hit the gallery circuits, and then also over on West Grand Boulevard at the Irwin Galleries. But the one at the center in Southfield, Emoji Gallery, is a great show, and gotta go see it. There's so much stuff going on. Enjoy it, suck it in, and enjoy it. Art, and bid and bid and bid and bid, and then when you get tired, do some more bidding.
Okay, one more. Drake, also tune in as soon as you leave this meeting, go to Instagram to the Klein Gallery. Senghor Reed is talking right now about his work. Today's the last day for that show, curated by Mario Moore.
Excellent.
That's a beautiful show.
Yes, it is. I love that, Sean.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Drake, we allow you to close us out now.
Thank you all. Hey, I just want to say thank you all. Hey, once again, it's been wonderful. Enjoy your day, and go buy some art, and preserve the culture. Do it for the culture, and do it for generational wealth. So that's all you have from me, and we're out. Buenas noches.
That was.
Let's just say buenos dias.